It's one big test. Students in the Hazleton area getting ready for the Pennsylvania system of school assessments exams tomorrow. But some parents won't allow their kids to take them. Why and what it means to students and the district. Our top story on News 13 at 4:30.
From the Samson Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Good evening and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Bazinski. Well, while the state wants every student to take the standardized assessments, there is a provision that lets parents opt out of their children's taking the PSSAs. Stephanie Gorney with more on the option and how the district will deal with it.
With PSSA testing starting soon, students have been working hard to prepare for the exams. Lorene is a parent of a 3rd grader and a 7th grader who would both be taking the test this year, but have chose to opt out of it.
There was so much emphasis on these standardized tests that I thought we were losing sight of teachers just wanting to teach, children just wanting to learn, and I just looked into it and thought, after so many years, there has to be a better way of doing this.
The option for parents to opt their children out of the test has been available since No Child Left Behind was enacted, but many do not know about this process.
They can opt out for religious and or philosophical reasons. What the parent must do is they have to schedule an appointment with the school principal to review the PSSA test, sign a confidentiality agreement that they will not disclose any of the test questions, and then write a letter to the superintendent.
Lorene knows that she does not need a test to prove her children's capabilities and hopes that more emphasis gets put back into classroom learning.
I know my son is learning. I do not need them to take a PSSA in order to know that. He excelled every time, wasn't a problem as far as any of the areas. I just saw that we were losing sight of just learning in the classroom.
The students who have opted out of the PSSAs will be able to work on schoolwork or engage in other educational activities. Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Hazleton.
A proposal to increase the earned income tax for people who work in Hazleton but live in other communities has made quite a stir in the region. Earlier this month, Acting City Administrator Steve Hahn told News 13 the State Department of Community and Economic Development and a representative from the Berkheimer Tax Collection Agency recommended implementing a higher earned income tax rate for non-residents because the city wasn't collecting money to fund city pension and retirement benefits. This means the tax rate will be set at 2.35% for residents, 2.85% for non-residents. Now, the mayor doesn't want folks calling it a commuter tax. It's an earned income tax.
For something, people who lived out of town, we couldn't get it on the web page because it was improperly the ordinance. So we had to change the ordinance. So when we changed that ordinance, everybody jumped on it that it was a commuter tax, and it's not.
And again, folks who live outside the city will be paying the same tax, but at a higher rate. Well, the best part of income tax season is if you qualify for a refund. And if you do, how will you spend your hard-earned returned cash? Christina Papa spoke with some who do know how they'll spend it, along with an expert to recommend some options.
Samantha Sikosi is one of the lucky ones who will receive a tax refund this year.
I planned on using my money to pay my bills that were past due.
But not everyone plans to spend their tax return on unpaid bills.
My husband needs a new computer, so maybe that would be one thing that we'd need the most. And vacation would be nice, but I don't think we're getting that much back.
According to the IRS, the average tax income last year was almost $3,000.
A lot of people play catch up on their bills, which makes sense. Some people use it to offset some credit card debt, which also makes sense.
Financial advisor Don Gallade helps people save and invest their money every day. He says people need to think before they spend.
If people would do some proper planning and budgeting, we would see less, let's take my tax refund and go buy the big screen TV, and we would see people doing more savings.
And although most of the folks I spoke with said they would be saving or spending their money on bills, some people in the area won't be receiving money back at all.
I have to save up all year and base my income off my business and analyze how much profit we make, and then I have to pay tax on that as a draw at the end of the year.
Gallade says folks need to save for their future, and they can start by spending their tax refund on their needs and then their wants. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
A fire in Schuylkill County that left 2 dead and 1 man burned in critical condition is still under investigation tonight. When fire crews arrived on the scene at 331 Center Street in Monroe City on Saturday, they were met with raging fire and heavy smoke. Fire crews pulled the owners of the building, Adele and Morris Ciabra, out of the 2nd floor. Adele was pronounced dead at the scene. Morris died a short time later at Pottsville Hospital. Another resident, Edward Dragunis, was rescued from his apartment and flown to Lehigh Valley Hospital Cedar Crest, where he remains in critical condition in the burn unit. Fire investigators spent most of the day on Saturday searching for clues as to how that fire erupted. They say the cause of that fire is still labeled as undetermined, but they continue to search through the rubble to try and find out what sparked that deadly blaze. And a second fire in Schuylkill County this weekend destroyed a home in South Manheim Township. Fire erupted in the home of Larry Schwenk on Woodlands Drive just after noon on Sunday. A passing motorist spotted that fire. Even though fire crews quickly arrived on the scene, the modular home burned quickly and was completely leveled. Firefighters say the cause of that blaze appears to be accidental, but a state police fire marshal will be calling for a formal investigation. And coming up on News 13, it's a tough intersection to get across. That's why there's state funding on the way to improve one part of Hazleton. And then folks of all faiths pray and remember the victims of the Holocaust. That story just ahead on News 13. And let's check the winning midday lottery numbers. Good luck if you play. The daily 219, Big 4, 6668. Quinto 56947, and the treasure hunt 8, 14, 17, 18, and 20. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's social news. First tonight, happy birthday goes out to our own Sam Lassant Sr. This wish comes with love from your family, friends, and everyone at SSPTV. Tonight's Talk of the Town report, Fabergé Follies is inviting you to a wonderful evening of fun and entertainment for their 2nd annual show. The event will be held Saturday, April 13th at the J.J. Farrar Performing Arts Center. Tickets are just $11 and veterans tickets are free. For more information or for tickets, please contact Fabergé Follies 570-454-1418. And finally, Yingling, along with USA Boxing, are presenting the Pennsylvania Golden Gloves Boxing event. The Tournament of Champions will be held Friday, April 12th at Marian Catholic High School. Doors open at 6 and first bout is at 7. For tickets or information, please call 570-773-3966. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Emily Rabb Berman of Hamburg. Funeral is Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. in the St. Jude the Apostle Roman Catholic Church. Friends may call Tuesday from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Browning Forshey Funeral Home. Claire M. Wargo, formerly of McAdoo. Memorial services Wednesday at 11 a.m. from the Damiano Funeral Home. No calling hours are scheduled. Morris Butch Sebra of Monroe City. Services are Wednesday at 11 a.m. from the Louis D. Truskowski Funeral Home. Adele Sebra of Monroe City. Services are Wednesday at 11 a.m. from the Louis D. Truskowski Funeral Home. Friends may call Wednesday from 9 to 11 a.m. Donald Adam Lindman. Celebration will be held Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Top of the 80s restaurant. Donald Smith of Whitehaven. Arrangements will be announced by the Lehman Family Funeral Service. And Jack M. Price of Whitehaven. Funeral is Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. from the Lehman Family Funeral Service. Friends may call Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. or Tuesday from 10 to 10:30 a.m. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. Free delivery to all local funeral homes. Call 570-454-0111. And by Mia's. Once again, the Hazleton area's #1 rated restaurant. Call them today, 570-501-3410 for information on luncheon packages.
The city of Hazleton is lucky enough to receive some money from a special red light initiative program. Now a reported dangerous crosswalk is getting a much-needed upgrade. Christina Papa got the details from PennDOT.
I think it's a real good idea. It's one of the best things they came up with.
Michelle McKinley is referring to PennDOT's newest project plans to upgrade the intersection of Sabert Cedar Streets and Diamond Avenue in Hazleton.
Basically involves some pedestrian upgrades, doing some work probably with the lights and the crosswalks in that area.
PennDOT's James May says the grant to complete this project came from red light tickets issued in Philadelphia.
They installed some red light cameras in the city of Philadelphia, and then that money would be dispersed around the state to different municipalities. So here in northeastern Pennsylvania, the 6 counties that we cover, Hazleton was the one and only municipality to get this money.
The project awarded $65,000 to the city of Hazleton in Luzerne County for those improvements. May says a panel of 8 decides where and what city is in most need of that grant money.
There's a lot of criteria that goes into something like this. They'll look at things like how many school children cross at that intersection. Is it a dangerous intersection? Have they had complaints from it before? A lot of those criteria go into this, and then that's when they come back and they say, are we able to make some really needed vital improvements?
Michelle thinks that money was well spent. She says she's tired of seeing people disobeying road rules.
Because people are getting hit. Well, the main thing is people cross in the middle of the street, right in the middle of the block. They cross like right here, 10 feet away from the light. If they go to those streets, right to the corner, they'd be a lot safer.
And although PennDOT is unsure of how that money will be spent, May says PennDOT plans to get in touch with the city of Hazleton soon to discuss that grant money.
And pedestrians say they're happy to see any type of improvement for the roads, especially right here on Diamond Avenue.
Need a stop walk at least a walk light. I mean, cars don't let you go by. If you don't jump out in front of them, forget it, you ain't getting across.
May says the $65,000 is among more than $4.7 million in grants the state is awarding using funding generated by automated red light enforcement. The project will not begin until PennDOT and Hazleton decide how that grant money should be used at the intersection. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
And time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. Checking the radar. That's nothing but ground clutter around the radar site in Binghamton. We may see a few sprinkles as we move into the day, but till then, we're in pretty good shape, actually. Oh, what our creative condition tonight is all about is sunshine. It's by Leanne Bresnak, a second grader at Valley Elementary, and she drew a big old Mr. Sun and lots of pretty flowers springing up as they should be. Now let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazleton for tonight. Chance of sprinkles and scattered showers starting this evening and continuing into the overnight with a low of only 51 degrees. Tuesday, cloudy, then gradual clearing with a high of a beautiful 69. Chance of overnight sprinkles with a low around 55. And Wednesday, partly sunny with a chance of sprinkles with a high near 71 degrees. A chance of sprinkles overnight, low down to 54. For Thursday, cloudy with a chance of sprinkles or showers with a high near 66. The overnight low down to 44, and then maybe not such a nice weekend. Friday, showers likely with the high only getting up to 49 degrees. On to Schuylkill County, tonight mostly cloudy with a chance of showers overnight, the low down to 52. For Tuesday, a chance of showers with a high near 73, but the showers continuing into the overnight, the low around 54. For Wednesday, partly sunny with a high all the way to 76. We're getting so close to 80. Nighttime low around 56. Then for Thursday, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a high near 77. Thursday night showers likely with a low of 49. Then Friday, back to reality, a chance of showers with a high near 53 degrees. Well, it was one of the darkest times in the history of civilization. People of many faiths came together this weekend to remember those who were killed during the Holocaust. Stephanie Gorney was at a service in downtown Hazleton.
Prayers, poems, and readings filled Beth Israel Temple in Hazleton Sunday afternoon. April 7th and 8th are days of Holocaust remembrance, and the community came out for a memorial service to remember the tragic events that took place and all the people that were affected.
It was one of the worst examples of inhumanity that has been in history, and we are just remembering that so that we don't commit such cruelty again.
6 memorial candles were lit in memory of the 6 million Jews who died in the Holocaust. One of those candles were for the 1.5 million children that died, and a 7th candle was lit for the 5 million non-Jewish people whose lives were taken as well.
Racism, the Holocaust, hatred, great suffering, and the lives of 11 million innocent people dead.
4 local middle school and high school students were also awarded at the service for an essay contest. This year's essay topic was, what would you say to a friend who wanted to get a swastika tattoo? The winners were all interested in the topic and used the knowledge that they already had about the Holocaust as well as their own feelings to create their winning essays.
I've always been interested in World War II as well, so of course I researched this a little bit and I liked it. It was definitely a topic that I could definitely get behind.
The people who attended this service were encouraged to take a 24-hour memorial candle home with them to keep the memory of the lives that were lost alive. Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Hazleton.
And still ahead on News 13, it's finally baseball weather, all the action, as well as the latest on some locals in the show on News 13 Sports with Fred Barletta. Then it was just as much fun as the TV show. Some local folks take their antiques on the road to get an appraisal when News 13 continues.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barletta Jr. and Ron Marchetti.
Well, could this be the break that Russ Kanzler needs? Maybe. We don't want to get anybody's hopes up here, but interesting developments going on with the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles, who lost Brian Roberts before the weekend started, now may be on the verge of having to put Nolan Reimold on the disabled list. Now, what does that have to do with Russ Kanzler? Well, if you take a look, here's the deal. Nolan Reimold was a designated hitter for most of the Orioles' early games. He also plays the outfield. Now, he got banged up on Sunday, and Buck Showalter was hinting that maybe he's going to have to be put on the disabled list. Now, if that indeed happens, Kanzler's got to be in the mix for who they may call up from Norfolk to replace him. Could Kanzler possibly get the call up and be in those series? Time will tell. We'll wait and see. Now, here's what we've got on Kanzler. He's played 2 games so far for the Norfolk Tide. 3 for 7 over the weekend. Scored a run, double, RBI, average at 250. So a small sample, not enough to say anything except that he's hit. Well, what else is new? He's done that at AAA everywhere he's been. So let's just wait and see. Meanwhile, Kyle Landis is off to a good start with the AA affiliate of the Cleveland Indians, the Akron Arrows. He pitched in 2 games over the weekend. He's pitched 2 2/3 innings and allowed just 1 hit, struck out 3, so not too bad. So we'll wait and see what might happen there with Kyle Landis. But good news, they're off to a good start. I know it's very, very early, but hey, good starts are better than bad starts, right? Anyhow, taking a look at the scores, Durham knocked off Norfolk 3-2. Norfolk lost both those games that we told you about with Kanzler. Meanwhile, the Akron Arrows pounded out a 13-3 win over Binghamton. Other minor league scores of interest, the Pawtucket Red Sox, 6-2 winners over Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. They got upended by Syracuse. Final in that one, 8-6. Now, let's take a look at what's going on closer to the area. It's Monday, so let's hit the reset button, and a beautiful day to play some baseball. Hazleton area travels to Pittston in the Schuylkill League. Nativity and Monoy, North Schuylkill at Panther Valley. Tamaqua goes to Jim Thorpe. Softball, a lot of the same matchups. Nativity, Monoy, Marion, Shenandoah Valley, North Schuylkill, Panther Valley, and Tamaqua visits Jim Thorpe. Tennis, Coughlin and MMI over on the north side. So let's get them in. After the brutal weeks that we've had in the past, we finally get some high school sports in good weather. Now, let's go to the Major League Baseball schedule for today, and you take a look. You got the Red Sox and Baltimore Orioles, Yankees in Cleveland, and Joe Madden starts a series in Texas with the Tampa Bay Rays. It'll be Jeremy Hellickson going against Ogondo in that one. Mets and Phillies, Doc Holliday on the mound, and Pittsburgh is out in Arizona. National Hockey League, you got the Rangers skating up north of the border. Minor League Baseball tonight, Charlotte visits Norfolk, Altoona at Akron, Rochester at Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and Lehigh Valley will entertain Pawtucket. Well, the American Hockey League is starting to wind its way down. 10 games to go, and Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins are on a little bit of a roll. They knocked off Hershey yesterday 4-3. That makes it 5 in a row for the Pens. That's good news. They're starting to get hot at the right time of the year, so we'll wait and see if that's enough to carry them into the playoffs. The Calder Cup won't be far off, so we'll wait and see. But a big win for the Pens last night against their rivals, the Hershey Bears. Well, if you're looking for the cure for the Monday blues, then you got to stop by Bottlenecks for the Seafood Jam. How about delicious little neck clams served in hot, melted garlic butter, crab cakes, or even weekly pasta and seafood specials. It doesn't get any better than Bottlenecks, our sponsors right here for sports on SSPTV.
Happy birthday to Bobby Sacco on this April 8th, the second Monday of the month, and kudos to Michigan and Louisville for making it to the national championship game tonight. Hi, everybody. This is Trivia Treats. 31 years ago today, in 1982, the opening of the Major League Baseball season was marred by a snowstorm that blanketed the East and Midwest, which postponed the home openers of the Chicago White Sox, Milwaukee Brewers, Detroit Tigers, New York Yankees, Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Philadelphia Phillies. The wintry conditions continued over the next several days, and many clubs will not play their first game until April 12th. Moving ahead, exactly 1 year later in 1983, 30 years ago, North Carolina State completed a Cinderella run through the NCAA B-ball tournament, defeating Houston 54-52 at the Pit in Albuquerque. Houston was ranked #1 and had a 26-game winning streak going in, but trailed NC State 33-25 at halftime. The Cougars were ahead 52-46 with 3 minutes left, but the Wolfpack clawed back its way to a 50-52 tie. With the clock winding down, guard Derek Wittenberg fired a desperation shot that fell short. However, Lorenzo Charles, who had made only one of his 6 field goal attempts in that game, grabbed the air ball and slammed it through the net for the win, giving the NC State Wolfpack the national championship. That happened 30 years ago in 1983. This happened on the same day 20 years earlier, April 8th, 1963, exactly 50 years ago today, while switching back to baseball. On opening day, the Kansas City Athletics played before former President Harry Truman, losing to the defending world champion New York Yankees 8-2 before 31,000 at Municipal Stadium in Kansas City. The A's wore their new gold and green uniforms for the first time. The new jerseys were the brainchild of owner Charlie Finley, who wanted to break the tradition of teams wearing only white at home and gray on the road. While the gaudy uniforms were initially a source of diversion, many other clubs would soon follow with uniforms in a variety of colors by the 1970s. It all started because of owner Charlie Finley. Some teams nowadays look like softball teams. I don't like it. And I don't like the way present players wear their pants. Look how nice the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders looked like on opening night. Like baseball players. Now teams in the majors look like they're wearing pajama bottoms, sloppy. Most of them look like they're overpaid bunyaks. Mother of God. See you Friday. Till then, be a good sport and stay loose.
Finally, for now, it wasn't the road show, but it was just as intriguing. As Stephanie Gorney shows us, folks with antiques, both fun and fabulous, lined up this weekend to find out how much they were worth.
People brought out their old toys, lamps, china, and many other antiques to the Laurel Mall this past Saturday. John Schumann, who is an antique appraiser, was on hand to provide information about the items that were brought in, as well as the possible value of them. Schumann was previously a college professor and got into the antique business because he enjoyed learning new information and where things came from.
I said I always taught for life. I taught all the different genre when I taught English, and so I got into the history of things, and I like to research things and know about them, where they were made, how they were made.
People brought out items that they have stored away for many years to see what their treasures were worth.
Saw the ad in the paper, and I've been wondering how much some of this stuff is worth. I brought a toy fire truck, and I brought a toy nativity set, and I brought my china.
Ruth ended up finding a lot more than just the value of the items that she brought in.
Found out where these china are from and what they're called. They're lithopanes, and found out that our fire truck's from the 1920s, so it was exciting.
Everyone who came to get their antiques appraised had a great time learning the background of how their items came to be, and John hopes to come back to the Laurel Mall to do more appraisals. Stephanie Gorney, News 13, West Hazelton.
And that's News 13 for your Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. You can catch this newscast again with rebroadcast throughout tonight, or just go to News 13's website any old time, SSPTV.com, where you'll always find the local and regional news you need and the community news you want. For the entire News 13 team, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Bazinski. Have a great night.